everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be playing mono red, and this list almost won a challenge. It got second place, played by May0024. I don't know who the actual username or user is that holds that username, but this is the list they were on, and there is a sideboard if you care about that, playing best of three. But there are some interesting cards in this list that I find super cool, and one being the Razorkin Needlehead. This card has first strike on our turn, but the main part of it that matters is whenever an opponent draws a card, this creature deals 1 damage to them. The other thing that this card says is VV, you're no longer going to draw more cards in that deck. Blue-black control, or mid-range, I mean, with Kaidos and stuff, you're not going to really want to draw more cards because, one, this is also an assassin, so it dodges things like Shoot the Sheriff, the best kind of mono-black removal spell in the format right now. Other than that, we're going to be super fast on the ground with a lot of our 1-drops and burn spells and our hasty prowess creatures, or Screaming Nemesis to kind of top it all off, along with these Sunspine links. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and dive into the games and see how they go. I accidentally messed up. I was in a normal public play game, and I was against super hard mono white life gain, which was funny. Just because I was just sitting there, I was like, man, what a game. Arena doing its best to punish me for playing mono red by doing obviously life gain. And then immediately I was just like, wait. My opponent's in public play. Like, I'll just concede this game. I could pump here, but they obviously have pretty good removal, and I'm gonna get the Needlehead down. Kind of a shielded-esque card, if you would. So any extra draws is obviously good for us. So things like Kaido and Enduring is going to be bad against this card. So they do kind of have to remove it. But it is an assassin, so Shoot the Sheriff cannot deal with it, which is interesting, to say the least. Didn't know that until, like, this present moment. I guess we just go to combat here. The blocks are bad anyway. Yeah, there's going to be a Drowner. They're going to probably do my Needle, if I had to guess. So we're just going to do this, because we don't want them to be able to shuffle this away. Attack. 2 for 1. Do we let them Kaido us here, or do just pump this? I guess I just pump this, right? If they want to do Kaido, then sure, they're tapped out, and I can Screaming Nemesis take care of it. But yeah, again, this has an assassin on it, so they cannot Shoot the Sheriff it, which is honestly pretty good for us. So an attack here would only mean Kaito. It'd mean literally nothing else. Screaming. I am indeed yelling. Go to combat. That's fine with me. Attack here. Obviously, if they do something weird like a triple block, yeah, I will take that all day. I will take that all day. Good value. Yeah, and this is definitely our mid-range opponent, so board wipe shouldn't really be a thing that they have. Spyglass Siren, sure. Another map. A pass here with a black and a... Oh, no. Realizing that they're pretty much dead. They can't really do anything. I think they might have meant to put a stop on my upkeep, maybe. But with 2 more burn spells, we just get to do a nice attack. This pings. Best case scenario, they block here for them. Or maybe they obviously they block Higher Claw if they're going to do anything. They take 5. That's 6. So they go down to 5. And then we have lethal, which we'll do anyway, because they don't have a blue mana to stop this from happening. So, yeah, very cool. All right, we're on the play. Our opponent had, unfortunately, a double maul. They were taking some time. I didn't know they were here or not. And then they mulliganed, which went immediately 1 into 2. Burst Lightning, a pretty solid pickup here. So now I feel as though it's probably to just Emberheart Challenger and just attack them and do a lot of pressure early, and then worry about picking this creature up after. Also, I cut it because I obviously redid the intro, but to this game. But I said, oh, basic sleeves and the Urbrask, I can smell them. They're mono red as well. And it's exactly what it is, which is just quite funny. They might attack and pump here, which gives our lightning strike a ton more value. Yep, so they get good damage in, but obviously we're here. That prowess just hit for 4, remove their only current threat. We do need to hit a land or we are screwed for the most part, just because our hand will, unless they can't answer our board, our hand will waver away. They have another thing to play. Are they going to start burning some creatures away? Manifold Mouse, sure. We do not play Manifold Mouse, that's for sure. Alright, sweet. So this can be tapped for a colorless. We can give the burnout first strike if they mess up here. So let's attack. This is what we want more than anything. Right, because I can... guess it doesn't work in a great way, but I can still get the board clear, I guess. Shoot that and then pump this to knock that out, and then we hit them for 3. Are the police going to be mad at me if I keep this hand? Probably. Ooh. Blue white. Can we get underneath them? Their decks are built a bit weirder now than they used to be, because temporary lockdown obviously had so many troubles in the past. So let's go basic here. Let's move to combat. There's a pause here, so it seems like a get lost is in the chamber. I could pump this, but I don't feel like that's a good play. And we're going to go for the taunter. Or bash taunter. Is the new one's an artifact, right? Yeah, so a Braid can actually pop it. Interesting. This temporary lockdown was an enchantment. The problem with the new one is it's a whatever, right? Torch shot, basically a dead card in our hand. So I'm gonna commit this, let them counter it most likely. They could obviously Helix here, but sweet. We still get a good attack in. They have Judgment obviously down the pipeline. If that would have resolved, maybe they had that Judgment and they were willing to take 3. We're going to get rid of this, but unfortunately, seems like... ooh, tap land from our opponent. Interesting. Can I commit more to the board, though? Probably not. It should probably just be like a level up and a level up on our 2 creatures that we have currently in play. Bada bing, bada boom. Activate. Activate. And now we're probably going to get Day of Judgment or Ultima or something along those lines. A Biza could come in, but thankfully this pumps Biza out of the way. And then this gets first strike because of the attack that would happen. Ultima. Sure. And it's shocked in a Watery Grave. That's pretty huge. Lands can stop coming at any point now. I promise you, game. I do not need any more. I lied. I need all the lands. Thank you. Thank you, Arena. I am playing mono red, and I have 5, 6, 7 lands in my hand currently. And of course, none of my spells actively in my hand are burn spells. Target. Dude. I am not playing a real game right now. Their combat. Could be a flanker or something here. Does damage happen? Okay. Interesting. Now we have the Sanctuary to bring up, and they just die. This... how... our opponent I don't think it's their fault because clearly they drew pretty bad as well. How do we get to this point of the game? And this is my hand. Literally dead in the matchup unless they play a Biza. Dead in the matchup unless they play a Biza. Kind of dead, like an okay card. Land. That's just not a real game that we should ever win. Okay, let's see if I can rebound. I made a very bad play in the last game, and I have not let myself be happy. It was really bad. I was pretty annoyed, to be honest. This matchup, these things matter because I don't want them to make that larger. I don't want them to be missing land drops and be able to get it back. We're going to go player Razorkin. This does have an assassin as a keyword on it, so shoot the sheriff cannot remove it, which is interesting. I've learned. Esper bounce, so nowhere to run, I guess. There. Let's have first strike, which is obviously cool. You have the... Oh, no. Alright. This is, like, kind of fine. Our creature has first strike, so... Go land Nemesis. Attack. Our blocks kind of suck. Down to 12. Down to 11. They didn't have a nowhere to run. Or... Yeah, because there's, like, no way they go for Pixie, right? They definitely know where to run this, and then next turn pick it up and do it again. At least I feel like they would have had to have. Other than that, I don't feel like this play made a lot of sense. Especially on the map, they actually activated the map, so maybe they were missing a land. But the map seems weird, because if you just picked it up, Pixie was guaranteed to be a 2/2. Hi there. My man's gone. Hello? Kaito here, huh? Interesting. What are we doing? We stunning something? We drawing cards? We drawing cards? Holy, turn went fast. It's probably Light Shatter bend both of these lands here, right? Look for burn spells. You find one, which is huge. Obviously, you go here, you go here. I could ignore this, but I think making them have no good value on the board is good. Right? Because what do? They draw with Kaito at that point, but they could also have stunned something else. This is fine. This is all day. This is fine. Just because if whatever damage this does, it does it to them, right? So it's kind of whatever. Are they Pixie picking it up and then replaying it, I guess? Nothing returned. End step. Burst lightning here, maybe? I guess we just see, right? Oh, or we kill them. Kind of an interesting spot to be in. Here. Here. I probably could have played this. I know, but I want it to be as taxing on the board as I can for this to come in. And I want to go as wide against the non-board wipe deck. So maybe I should have played it, but then it's like doesn't have first strike, so it doesn't work as well. But maybe the thing is, then I get... Yeah, it's bad not to play that, because then I can just burst lightning them, right? Honestly, this being open, I wanted... My brain immediately was like, man, a cut down is so hard to beat here. And... that's not a card that's legal. The cards are all sorcery speed at once, but mana, besides like maybe a couple white spells that are like deal damage to a creature that's tapped, I believe. But yeah, I went immediately into instant speed 1 mana, like cut down this creature and I get blown out. But oh well. Mono green, huh? Click. I was gonna be a Landware Elf there, but you know, it is what it is. Click. Mono red spot removal. The deck. This by no means is good for us, by the way. That's pretty good for us. I have 4 mana, so I'll be able to make like a drop and a drop. So we go for Screaming Nemesis here. Also a card that don't really want to fight, right? But Landware Elves, we can kind of temp block. We're never really prone to getting blown out by just this card. Obviously, they can make stuff large here, which sucks. But in this spot, like Screaming Nemesis being held back is just good, right? But I think we're being aggressive with it, right? Here. Obviously, it's going to hold a priority pause. Go here. Didn't want a Snakeskin Veil to like be able to pump and blow this out. I don't have 2 spells that I would like to be able to commit in a spot like this. Also, Lightning Striking this might be the play. Actually, no, this deck has no way to gain life, I don't think. 2 sacrifice lands. No Chocobo, obviously, because they would throw that in. But now they could do Bristly Bill if they didn't have an Escape Tunnel, because Escape Tunnel obviously has it happen tapped. But they can make blocks and then double the counters thanks to the Landware Elves. What do they do here? Pump like these creatures to the moon for 8. Sure. They have one last card. Combat, there's a pause, but it could just be they could be holding this as fake priority, by the way. And I think that's what they're doing. Maybe they're not. No way, right? Sure. Uh-huh. Yep. Case. Our only creature with prowess is going to be a good one to do this with. So now if they want to save their druid, they have to give it the protection. Now we have 2 blockers. Screaming Nemesis, obviously a very good blocker. In a spot like this, without the creatures necessarily having trample, they can give it trample. And that could technically kill us. But with 6 mana, 7 mana, they have exactly enough to do with the Bristly Bill and then double Bristly Bill's counters, or vice versa. But they need this mana, so they have to do it with this. Or this is one of these is a land, and they can double attack and then over... What's the card? Over protect. But we know one's a 1 mana spell because it kept holding priority, right? So over protect's gonna have to be the card they drew, I think. In a tough spot, answering Tifa was obviously the big one. Here, obviously looking for like good old-fashioned removal, brother. There's an all-out attack worth. So best block is here, and then they take 5, and then they die on their turn. If they block here and here, obviously it works out really poorly for them. I can also just like hold back, right, and just let this ping them for 2. Like, how do I lose to that? Overprotect again, but I have all the toughness in the world, right? But how do I do this? Do I have lethal? Block. They take 4, they take 2, and then they would die to that. Block, block. They take 5. And then they die to double ping. But then, realistically, they're going to block and block. They take 5, they take 1 ping, and they don't die. Yeah, so I have to wait. If my opponent plays it correctly, the best course of action here is to pause and hold. Again, I could throw every amount of toughness in front of everything. It's not necessarily going to matter because of them doubling the counters. But we lose to the one card that gives it trample. I didn't win here regardless, by the way, if you're curious. Most people don't actually change how they block, so we'll see. I don't think it works, right? Because they don't have the mana. Oh, no, they do. They have exactly enough, right? Wait, they have enough? No, they don't. But they only have to do 3 because it's trample. Unfortunate. Unfortunate for them. They did not have enough room. Holy cow. What a crazy experience. Screaming Nemesis ends up getting us there. I didn't know. What is that card? I wasn't playing around that one at all. He's trample. I feel like, isn't the other card just better than this? Because it's instant, but also gives like trample and hexproof. Now, we deserve to get slammed now, I think. Fire Claw. Fire Claw is just so good as a first. Oh, well, yep, there's the slam. Fire Claw is just so good. I don't think that's worth. Alright. Probably have other seam rip. Bad to guess. Double white seems like a choice, right? There's got to be like a get loss or something, maybe. How did I get to? Sure. A legal card still? It's in Foundations, if you're curious. Now I can't gain life anymore, I guess. Oh, they're mill. Interesting. Can't gain life, I guess, off that regardless, but... this one? They have another smite, so be it, dude. I can't stop them forever. We obviously have to be quick. Fortunately, I had to play this one this turn. I think I played this line this turn. I would like to have gotten this down. Sure. Hey, you put a land in my graveyard. Thank you. There's a Screaming Nemesis, which is always good. We want to use this whenever it comes to the end. No more lies. Sure, nice counterspell. Obviously, the priority is being held by the Monument. The No More Lives, I feel like, was the card draw. If they have a Smite, so be it. But they would have had to have drawn that card. But this is just slowly going to be more and more. And then, obviously, we have the Sanctuary to come in. As soon as they play more non-basics, for whatever reason, they're only hitting their basic planes, it seems. Day of Judgment on just that, which totally makes sense to me. Come up. 3. Go. But like, what in the world? Play more non-basics. Like, how do you not have any more non-basics in your deck? And they just die playing. They have to be Esper, right? But then that's so many basic planes. I guess it was the weirdest game I've played in a while. We had Smited, we got No More Lies, just hit a Screaming Nemesis, which made Nemesis do the same amount, but obviously you can't let it be consistent damage. I don't know, that was a weird one. A weird one, for sure. 3 lands, though, pretty good. We can go Challenger after maybe Burst Lightning something. A mulligan is obviously always a good sign of the viability of something like this staying alive for a turn or two. Everhard Challenger, of course. Please end my turn. I want it to be known a lot of times before I play Apex or play Magic, I do play like Apex Legends and stuff. So you would think that my click accuracy would be on point, but instead it's the exact opposite. I don't know what I'm doing with my hands ever. Like I somehow always click the combat step here, which just doesn't seem great, right? I could activate this, but realistically, I kind of already have the plan I want to do. Ooh. I guess I just hold here. We're not really convinced of what our opponent's on. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't entirely sure, but Angels is a first in a while. Obviously, we played a land there. I have game actions I want to take. Prowess there. We want to use our creatures as best we can. So we're just going to hit for 5. And now next turn, we can Burst Lightning and then pump this, which will give it double strike. Maybe. Ooh, even a green land. Unfortunately, the Angels player did not have a low enough to the ground curve to keep up with what we got going on here. The Lightning Strike. Burst Lightning to put our speed to max. Pump this up. Deal quite a bit of damage here, setting him to 1. I hope they board wipe so this Lynx does 1 damage to win. That'd be so funny. Also, they can't gain life with this Lynx, so maybe we should have prioritized it, but Shelter by Ghosts and things like that are always a problem, right? Sure. Whenever that happens, sure. And unfortunately for them, I'm going to win in the worst feeling way possible. Just a Lynx. Just shoot us both. Right when I thought they were going to stabilize, we come away with a swift win, and we take it. Unfortunately for them, their hand was just too slow. Like, if they would have had this first, obviously we had answers, but having that first and then going into the Angels that they had 2 of, they obviously would have been a much better spot, but just having it work this way obviously didn't do them any favors whatsoever. But we also could have played this, given it haste, and it would ping them for 1 at that point, so pretty good game to win. Going first. Who did I impress at the Wizards Academy? We'll keep here. Higher Claw coming in. Higher Claw number 2. Very good. Do we be more mana efficient? Probably. I think being mana efficient here matters a lot. Obviously, we miss out on 1 ping, but we get that back next turn. And then we also have an upgrade option. They have the... I think this is Burgeoning. I believe that's the part here. Your shot deals 5 damage. We probably just go ahead and do that and play the Higher Claw and get real aggressive. Ooh, this is Vivi combo. They're being sneaky about it. Pop this out of the way. Play another Higher Claw. Just being super, super aggressive here. 2 Higher Claws. This is why this card is so annoying, dude. This is 1 and you're getting double ping. Like, on their next turn, they're guaranteed to be at 8 if they don't remove anything just off these attacking alone. That's obviously very annoying. Second Fear. No blue so far. 2 basic mountains, of course, that we have this Lynx in play. Seems kind of, you know, the move. Yeah, a miss land there. The game's just over. So, Vivi. The Vivster. I guess we could play 1 more and see if we hit Diamond 1 with this tonight. So, cool. Oh, boy. A Maul. We'll try just because they mulliganed, and we'll just hope to rip some gas here. If we rip a couple lands in a row, it's probably going to be a loss, unfortunately, but, you know, it is what it is. Oh, well. Starting off strong with that statement. Go for Higher Claw. No Burst Lightning invested there. Maybe wanting to use... Oh, they missed a land. How about the attack? Obviously, we're going to miss the trigger here, but I want to see if they try to Burst Lightning this. If I could save it there, I definitely wanted to. Screaming Nemesis is going to be a very good card, considering they missed a land drop, but we'll see. Yep. They were just wanting us to pump this so they could remove it in response, but obviously we don't want to do that. Screaming Nemesis. We're just going to be as aggressive as we can. If they take their turns, like, targeting this, if they're on roughly the same build we are, if they're taking their turns to target this to try to find more cards, then great, right? Sure, 14 2 mana. I could play other Screaming Nemesis, but I think we're just going to take the chance to burn down both of these. So we don't ever risk the random, like, getting one-shotted next turn. 2 prowess creatures that work on getting targeted, a wild run on one of them, and then another land hits, and then maybe a fling's happening of some kind. 3rd Emberheart Challenger, sure. Bolt Wave, so kind of where we were. They attack. They're going for the aggressive line, of course. And we just go with the winning line and attack. Obviously, pumping this doesn't matter. It was Xaxes anyway. But we take down Mono Red in the mirror to go to Diamond 1, which seems like a good place to end this. Mono Red might have found a way back into the meta, that's for sure. All right, so Mono Red almost winning a challenge, running incredibly well for us now. The only real weird thing is we are playing 24 lands. And man, did it come up quite often. I wish I would have that many lands when I'm playing control. But, you know, we're Mono Red, so it happens. But the reason why is because you want to be able to have the mana for, like, your Lynxes. You want to be able to Screaming Nemesis while also pumping the Higher Claw. And the mana makes sense in here to have quite a bit just because of how aggressive you can be. And then also 7 of your lands are utility lands, 3 of them being more creatures, really. So you are kind of looking at this as 21 lands, and the Soul Sanctuaries being more of a avenue of attacking. Because the other thing is, too, this is all creature types. So the Rock Faces can technically target this. So even playing this, you can get it to be a tapped and attacker on the turn it enters. If you have an absurd amount of mana, obviously, because that's 4 plus having 2 extra heroes. That's 7 mana. So realistically, never happening, right? But it could. And then you go right into the sideboard. You have a lot of answers. You have Mazebane Lizards. You have Abrades. You have, like, all these things. And realistically, all this deck is kind of built around doing is beating up on Vivi because of the Razorkin Needlehead and then also, like, the Lizards. Anytime you cast a non-creature spell, you're taking a damage +1 with the Lizards on the battlefield. And then this also says, hey, every time you draw a card, you're taking 1 damage. So any of the wheel effects that they can do obviously causes a lot of problem, and this does a lot of good damage early. And then with cards like Higher Claw and like Lightning Strike, and then exiling things with Obliterating, not Lightning Strike, Emberheart Challenger, Lightning Strike, and Obliterating Bolt, being able to go face or exile VVs if that's the case, you can get in pretty quick. And then you have Screaming Nemesis to cause like extra damage in that 3 mana slot, and it just becomes an overwhelming force. So realistically, this deck was built and constructed in what it looks like to target VV at the most, as it is, like, I think according to Goldfish's standard, it's 30% of the meta, which is code red territory, of course. But with all that said and done, this deck felt great. If you're going to play mono red, this feels about where I would commit to, like, actually building, just because it did do so well for me today. And we are now in Diamond 1, of course, even though we don't really care too much about rank. Like, obviously we care a bit about rank because it matters if you're playing high, but honestly the difference in Diamond and Mythic isn't that much, so it is what it is. Diamond people are trying to hit Mythic. A lot of times if you're in the lower end of Mythic, people just play literally whatever they want. They don't really care about winning or losing anymore. It just becomes about, like, playing the deck they like. So you actually get weirder bad games when you're in Mythic than you do in Diamond. Diamond tends to be everybody trying to get into Mythic, so it's just, like, the better area to play. But with that said, ran really well, felt really good. A lot of rares, though, so do be careful with that. If you know, mono red has typically always been the budget deck of the format, and seeing all these rares in here, it just makes it feel a little less like that. But if you've been a mono red player for a while, let's be honest, you have these 8 rares, and you probably have these 2 rares crafted, and you definitely have these 4 mythics. So you're looking at this, and Lynx has been played for a while. If you're best 3 player, you most likely have these. The Needlehead seems like a card. It's like, oh, I'll dodge it, but this card is actually incredibly good. And like I said, against not mono black but blue black or Dimir, this card is actually a lot better than it seems, just because it dodges the main removal spell in the format, because Assassin is an outlaw and Shoot the Sheriff can only remove non-outlaw creatures, so it weirdly dodges that removal. And then it makes cards like Enduring Curiosity really awkward, because if they draw 4 or 5, then they take 4 or 5, and then you're within range of a burn spell. With all that said and done, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I hope you enjoyed this little outro that we did here talking about the deck. And with that said, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.